Many of us live by a schedule. We wake up at a certain time, eat at a certain time, go to bed at a certain time. Babies are no different. Routine and a healthy sleep schedule is imperative to healthy growth. Joining us with her expert advice is Sadler, owner and CEO of Baby Sadler. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, I'm glad to be here.
You know, we've already had a really interesting conversation before we started recording. And first of all, you're a mother of 3. You are a registered nurse. You're a lactation specialist. So you're everything rolled up into one. Why did you feel that this was necessary for you to start this particular business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with my first child, I felt like I had looked into all the resources. I used Google, read all the books, and I just remember that 10 years ago almost, it was a really kind of isolating, lonely time, even though I had great friends and family that were supportive. A lot of the information out there was making me feel like I was failing in some way, or my baby wasn't fitting into the schedule in some way. And then going to nursing school, working with women and babies in the hospital, and then seeing them be discharged home from the hospital, knowing the information they got in the hospital and sort of that gap in information from the hospital to the pediatric provider's office. There's just a lot of information that's not shared, and there's a lot of loud voices out there on social media that maybe aren't giving the most accurate information. And so I felt like there was kind of a gap in education and support for parents.
Now, when you describe that feeling of failure, is it because when we hear about lactation and latching and that connection that you have with your infant, is that where you were finding issues?
A little bit. I mean, breastfeeding in general is difficult. You know, it's natural, but it's not really easy, I would say. But more related to, I'm very much type A, like a routine, like a schedule, and feeling like if I was going to breastfeed, I either had to choose breastfeeding or sleep. And it seemed like all the information out there, they were mutually exclusive. And so books that you read that say, oh, this is gonna help your baby get on a schedule, it wasn't possible for a breastfeeding mom because it took the lactation part of it out of the equation when you're relating it to sleep.
So you would say that your whole approach is holistic.
Yes.
So you took those things in aggregate and you put it all into one. And when you think about it, if you take a step back, you think, well, these things should all work together. I mean, sleep and eating.
Absolutely.
These are all human necessities. They should work together in some way. So how do you go about coaching and helping your clients to find that balance?
Yeah, so a lot of it is understanding the why behind things. So that's my clinical part of it, is understanding the why. Like, why do we need to feed our baby at the beginning of a wake cycle? Why can our baby not take 7 ounces out of a bottle at a set 5 feeds a day? It's because that's not the way it works. Babies have different wake windows depending on their age and developmental level. How much a baby eats is dependent on what time of the day it is. Just like you or I are more hungry or less hungry at different times of the day, so are babies. A mom who's breastfeeding, her breast milk supply fluctuates throughout the day. So it can't be a set schedule. It has to be more of a routine. And babies absolutely thrive on routine. Children thrive on routine. You know, they know what to expect. And when parents have a routine and understand how everything works together, they can feel confident in trying to figure out what it is that their baby needs instead of trying to figure out, are they hungry? Are they tired? It gives parents a lot more confidence.
With your guidance, how quickly would you say a new mother finds her rhythm?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically I say the first 2 weeks of life, you're just feed, wake, sleep, feed, wake, sleep. Sure, it's just kind of this kind of cycle. You're in that survival mode, I guess. Typically I recommend around 2 weeks you kind of start a routine. Most babies, you have to have realistic expectations for their sleep based on their age. And so I always say it takes about 3 to 5 days to kind of set your baby in a new routine. Or if you travel and go on vacation and your baby was sleeping through the night, they come home and it's going to take those couple days to kind of help them get back into that routine.
About how many mothers do you help? And this is a pretty new new business for you within the last year you started.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so about how many mothers can you advise at once, and how do people sign up and find out more?
That's a great question. So I do one-on-one consulting for lactation consults and infant sleep consults. And typically I work with about 15 to 20 families a week with my schedule. In the past, I was counting it up the other day. I think since baby Sadler was born last year, I've helped a little over 200 families here in the Low Country.
Wow. Congratulations
Well,
on
thank
that.
you.
What do they say after they've taken your course?
I think there's a lot of
thank you.
well, I think there's a lot of relief in knowing that they're not doing something wrong, and then also knowing how I always say, like, live by the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time we're going to follow this, and the other, you've got to enjoy your life. You can't feel like you're trapped by this set schedule, and you don't want to try and make your unique baby fit into something that is not. It really can steal the joy out of those first couple months of your child's life.
And those are fleeting moments.
Yeah,
you want to remember them and the positive ways that they are. Yeah. You've also written a book, Baby Sadler. It's not just about sleep, helping parents understand how feeding affects sleep and how sleep affects feeding. Yeah. So one begets the other.
Yes, absolutely.
Where can people find this book?
It's available on Amazon.
Wonderful. Yeah. And you have an event coming up?
I do. On August 2nd, I have a Newborn Babies Made Simple live event downtown at the French Quarter, and they can sign up on my website for that.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. This has been so interesting talking to you, and I know a lot of families are going to really appreciate this and need some help out there. So make sure you go there. We'll be back after this.